Are you looking for ways to grow your team that will last and build real value on your team, for your team? Here are the keys to creating a culture of support to grow your team, to keep your team. Hi, this is Connie Suarez. It's all about creating a culture of support, a culture of community. We are relationship people, aren't we? We thrive with friends and family. And so when you're building a team, you need to do the same thing for them, and you will keep them, you will make them thrive and grow and be more fulfilled in what they're doing. And there are three keys that I'm going to talk about today about that. But before I go into that, I do want to introduce myself to anyone who is new here. I'm Connie Suarez. I'm a network marketing mentor. My passion is to help you help your team cross stage. Crossing stage is just a big deal. It's not just about the fact that you've reached a level where you are getting some consistent income coming in. It's about recognizing that you've arrived in a community, in this culture that is being created. And our companies do help with this. But as a network marketing leader, we need to take responsibility for the culture that we are creating for our team. In other places, you'll hear me talk about how important it is to brand ourselves, not to use our company's brand to attract people. If we do that, we are just an infomercial, and that's not what we're being paid for. You don't get paid for every infomercial you do for your company. You only get paid when you and your team are finding customers. So, how do we do that? That's what we want to talk about today. And I've got 3 points. That's all I have as far as notes today, which is a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing about it is that I always believe we talk better when we speak from our heart, not from our notes. But my notes sometimes keep me on track. So I'm wishing you luck. Here are the three points. We need to create a culture of community. We need to recognize those in our community. And live events, I realized over the weekend, are critical. So here we go. We're going to, first of all, we have to create a culture of community. And maybe you haven't started doing a Facebook group yet. That's not where you start. That's where you will end up, maybe. Or maybe you'll use some other platform. You can certainly use a website with a membership page, but that gets way more techy and usually involves some spending of, investing money into that community membership page. But you can get a Facebook group and it will cost you nothing except your labor. And if you do things right, you won't do it by yourself. You will involve a team. But before you even do that, you're going to create a sense of community right on the page where you do your posting. If that's a personal profile, if it's a business page, it might be Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn. I choose Facebook because that's where the majority of internet users are. And I believe it's where the majority of my target market hang out. And it's because it's the platform I'm familiar with. And I do some posting from my Meta Business Suite to Instagram, but the others pretty much get ignored by me. And that's okay, because Facebook has way more people than I will ever reach. But I need to create a culture of community among the people that show up and like my 2 pages, join my pages. And so you notice you should keep a little list somewhere. I use Trello. You can use paper and pencil, paper and pen. You can use spreadsheet. There are other ways. And if you have a favorite way of keeping your list and I didn't mention them, go ahead and comment that right below. So we should recognize who is following us, and then we need to be engaging with them. In other words, go to their pages and like and comment on their posts. It's the old adage, you have to be a good friend to make friends, and that's certainly true on social media. You need to be social to have things click for you on social media. So we need to create a culture of community. And for me, it starts with thinking in my head, this is my community. These are my peeps, to use the vernacular. So we begin with that. Here is something that is vital, and that's to recognize people. And yes, we know that we recognize somebody if they rank advance. We should recognize them just when they get a new customer. Customers are a big deal. First of all, there is much more emphasis on getting customers than there were when I got started. When I got started, it was pretty much about getting business builders and building a big team of business building team members. And there were some issues with government regulations and the fear among the general public that this is a scam. And by having more customers, we somewhat prove, I guess, our good intentions. So, but recognize those things. If you have a Facebook group, recognize when somebody completes a guide, and use the guides in Facebook groups to organize your training and train your people, and have evergreen training. So when somebody's new, they don't have to wait to have a call with you to get information on how to begin. There's that training, that video right there. And as your team grows, you won't be the only one doing videos. There will be others, but it will always be there in place. And so you recognize when people are doing things like that. I saw a very good example of coming up with ways to recognize people. I am a pretty faithful follower of a classical radio station in our area that is membership supported. They don't do commercials, they get people to donate to them. And that means that periodically through the year, they run membership drives. And there are all sorts of ways that you can become a member, one-time gift, monthly gifts, that sort of thing. But the thing is, they have to have those members to survive. And they always need to be getting new people to join them, right? So I realized that they they had a bit of a thing going, I believe. Very good strategy, something that we can sort of learn from and sort of pattern after. So over the Memorial Day weekend, they play classical music, and they asked for listeners to give their essential classical music. So the things that they, in the list of classical music is essential to be a part of. And they asked for us to recommend those before Memorial Day weekend, and then over the weekend they played those. Well, there was one thing they hadn't mentioned, but I had suggested several pieces, and then on the first day of the Memorial Day weekend, voila, Connie from Westminster suggested this piece of music. And I knew it was me because I had suggested that piece of music, and they even said why I liked it. So I knew it was this Connie from Westminster, and it was cool hearing my name. And I heard it one more time. I had suggested more pieces, and maybe they played them when I wasn't listening. But here's the deal. It made me feel more like a member of the community. It made me feel more inclined to deepen my involvement, as in joining as a member. And here's the funny thing, which is totally great strategy. Right, what comes after Memorial Day weekend? June 1, the first day of June. And guess what? June 1, they started a new membership drive. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't an accident that they did the listener contributions and mentioning names before they got to the membership drive. I'm sure it is more successful because of that little piece of recognizing listeners. So how important is recognizing? Well, it's everything. And invent ways to recognize people. Somebody once said, catch people doing the right thing. If you're a supervisor, if you're a leader, it's so easy to catch people doing something wrong. Well, sometimes, especially if they are not following something that our company's compliance has warned us not to do, then it's a good idea to take them aside privately and say, this isn't a good idea. I know what you're trying to do, but here's a better way to do it. But catch them doing something right. So when they do their first post, even if it's kind of awkward, and I'm still doing awkward posts, recognize it. Great job, Susie Q. You just did your first post. What does that feel like? And encourage the community to go and look at her post and comment and give her some love. So invent ways to recognize people. And then the last thing I realized over the weekend, I found out the value of live events, something that I had never quite understood before. And I've gone to a lot of company live events and haven't recently, but I did go to a live workshop with my mentoring group, and there were 20 some people in the room. We were people that knew each other from a Facebook group, but we hadn't met in person with any of them. And now we got to be in the same room, and we were not just sitting in a classroom, it was a workshop. It was very interactive, and we were getting to participate with one another, and then we were getting to have meals with one another, and we hung out in the evenings, and it was really great to get to know each other on that level. And I realized before I even left the venue that when we get back home and we're just on Facebook again, that it won't feel the same. There was a bond that was built with that group that will last, perhaps for a lifetime. So, live events, and encourage your team to go to live events and explain to them how important it is for them to be there and to be hanging out, and realize that taking time during this live event when you're not in session to be hanging out with your team and doing things with them, and if nothing else, going to the same restaurant and eating together and hanging out, hopefully encouraging everyone to stay at the same hotel so you can again hang out together in the evening. So it's very important, that live event. It's very important to hear the company updates, to learn how other people are building their business, but maybe the best and most important thing is building that community of culture for your team. It means everything to keeping them and encouraging them when things aren't very encouraging in their business. Probably the best way to follow up with this on Thursday is to share how to help your team get the results that they're looking for, apart from having that community of culture. And so we'll delve deeper into that on Thursday. If this has been helpful for you, and if you want to make sure you catch that next video, then here's what I suggest. Subscribe to my channel, and then click on the ring the bell. I had a senior moment. I click on the ring the bell, and you'll be able to select how you want to be notified when I do the next video, and then you won't miss that. Feel free to share this with your team and comment below what was of most importance to you, and if there's a topic you'd like to hear, let me know. This is Connie Suarez. I'll be in touch.